Bow! Ladies and gents, welcome to episode, what are we on? Episode 302 now of Aid Thompson and Other Disappointments, your twice weekly swim in the oceans of dismay, disillusion, and darkness. That's what we offer on this show. All served up to you like a mostly cooked pie made of tum-filling sorrow and one-way unresolvable woe. Ladies and gents, what's up to the Patreons, my people, my supporters, the YouTube community backers, can't forget you guys. And indeed, of course, you know, what's up to you, dear listener, dear viewer? You sat there with your headphones on, or your iPhone, iPod things maybe. Maybe you're playing this in your car, perhaps on your way to the gym. Or maybe you're picking up your mother-in-law. I don't know, you know. Maybe you're picking up your mother-in-law, who you don't actually like very much at all. But you give her a hand every now and then anyway. You pick her up from here and drive her to there because deep down, guys, you know, even though your friend Jessica in the office calls you a bitch, even though all your other colleagues are broadly on the level with that, even though your ex-husband referred to you as a dark and twisted, manipulative monster, actually, beneath it all, you're a really good actor. Is what you are. What's going on out there? That was a weird start to the show this week. What's in the news, guys? Should we jump straight into some politics? Shall we? Or do we dip our toes into a little bit of like a weird news thing, you know, an offbeat news story, a bit of Americana? What are we in the mood for this week? Because there's so much going on, isn't there? There's a lot of news right now. Even just in like the last week. We've had, what have we had? We've had race riot post-mortems. You know, all of the analysis thereof. We've had Donald Trump returning to Twitter. I don't know if you were aware of that. Which is, like, I'm not saying Donald Trump is 100% rattled by Kamala Harris and her performance so far and her poll numbers. I'm not saying he's 100% rattled, destabilized by what's going on. And then he thought he had it in the bag with Joe Biden. But what I am saying, what I am observing is that he has abandoned his contractual obligations to post to Truth Social first. That's what he's supposed to do. And he's come on to Twitter again, which he said that he wouldn't. And that is presumably in a sort of panic to reach a wider number of people, isn't it? He's done an exclusive X interview with Elon Musk, which is, you know, I mean, what are those two even supposed to talk about when they sit down and talk to one another? What is Donald Trump and Elon Musk, what are those two minds gonna discuss, really, that's of any interest to anyone? Like, is anybody actually gonna watch it? Did you watch it, dear viewer? Oh wait, a billion people. A billion people tuned in for this thing today. Well, what do I know then? Clearly a lot of people are interested, very interested in fact, in hearing what Donald Trump and Elon Musk think about things. I don't know if you're aware, the stock price of Truth Social, which is Donald Trump's network, because he's supposed to post there first, because he's the main draw for people to go to Truth Social, because he's back on Twitter now, and because he tweeted on Twitter first before Truth Social, the stock price of Truth Social has gone But still, guy's a business genius, isn't he? The art of the deal. I mean, I didn't look. This won't shock any of you. I did not watch the interview between Musk and Trump. I abandoned it, which could put me in serious legal jeopardy just by refusing to do what Elon Musk wants me to do. He wants me to watch it and I'm refusing. I'm abandoning it. I'm walking away from it because I don't know if you're aware of this. This is a story that bubbled up a few days ago. But Elon Musk is actually suing the advertisers for leaving his platform, for leaving X. Like in his mind, they have a moral and legal obligation to advertise with him. Is that what he seriously thinks that? You must spend your advertising dollars on my cesspit of a social media platform. I'm forcing you to. I'll sue you. With his thirst trap sex bots and racists and violent imagery and, I'm not exaggerating. All of that stuff is on X right now. All of it adorned with the advertisements of corporations who really don't want to be associated with that sort of shit. Like, even that, regurgitating that whole story to you, it sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But I promise you it's accurate. That is what he's doing. He's suing advertisers for leaving his platform. Like, Musk is basically a pub landlord now. Or, in an American context, he's a bar owner. He's a bar owner somewhere in the Rust Belt, and he's selling notice board space, for your yard sale or your local band, your local garage band who want to play a gig. He's selling notice board space in his bar, but it's just on the inside of a toilet cubicle door now. That's basically the level of advertising space that he's offering to people. It's like, it's like an advert that you put up there. Like, do you like hot dogs? Then come to Rory's Hot Dogs, 28 New Haven, $8 a pop. There's a reason all the kids are roaring for Rory's. It's Rory's Hot Dogs, 555-182-DOG or whatever. You have that flyer up on the cubicle door, right between Big Dave's burner phone that he uses for car park blowjobs or something, and then underneath it'll be like a few swastikas like scratched in graffiti. Like that is the level of advertisement that X is now able to offer, and if you don't take them up on it, they will sue you. Incredible. Anyway, so there was that. There was Ukrainian forces marching into Russia. Incredible. This whole time we've been viewing Ukraine through the context of Putin's invasion of Ukraine. Now Ukraine are marching into Russia. Turning the tables a bit. Plot twist. And so obviously this is hugely upsetting to one Vladimir Putin. He's very much looking at it like, oh, how come you guys, you have a problem when I invade? I think you do not like invasions. You're on the front page of your newspapers every day. Invasions this, invasions that. You do not like when Vlad invades other country. Well, now, look, Ukraine are invading Mother Russia. And now you say nothing. You say no, it's no words. It's silence. You are hypocrites. And meanwhile, everyone else is just like, yeah, we don't care. We absolutely no fucks. No fucks given. Good. We're egging them on, Vlad. You are hypocrites. That's not how that works. Anyway, what else has happened? A Muslim guy fought off a white guy who was trying to stab kids in London or something. I didn't really get too deep into... Like I say, there's so much news. I can't delve into all of it. I just saw this bubble up for a few hours and then totally disappear and get engulfed by whatever the next big story was. But yeah, a Muslim guy fought off a white guy who was trying to stab a kid in London, which is a pretty good story. Good news day for Muslims. He's a well-integrated Muslim chap who did a brave thing, and he fought off an attempted murderer. And I'm sure that Tommy Robinson and Nigel Farage will be back all over your TV screens any minute now to celebrate this heroic Brit's contribution to UK society. I'm sure that's about to happen. Because it's not racism. They're not racist, guys. It's just about integration and multiculturalism. So why would they not want to talk about this side of the coin? So yeah, I'm sure Tommy Robinson will be back any day now to talk about. I mean, that's if Ireland haven't cancelled his passport by then, of course, which is also on the cards. Ireland are actively looking into how he has acquired this Irish passport that allows him to go and hide out in Greece and Spain and all of that. All of this has happened in the first 2.5 days of this week. The weeks are just packed with news now. There's more packed in a news cycle than we need, I think, frankly. There's just too much, a little too much now. When it's only been 2.5 days into the week and you've already had Elon and Donald and car park blowjobs and Kamala and Tommy and Ukraine and Putin. Like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet, isn't it? That's what it is. But then just as you're considering a dessert, like you ask for the dessert menu, just as you're feeling full and you're thinking maybe something a little bit sweet, then they just wheel out the same buffet again. They're like, no, that was just round 1-8. Come on. Get ready for round 2, Tubby. Like, it's just too much, isn't it? News-wise, chaos-wise, despair right now. But don't worry. Do not worry. Don't let it get you all crestfallen. Not yet. Because I've plucked out one of my usual, weird and wonderful news stories, abstract news stories to lighten the mood somewhat. But first, before we get into that, let me tell you about my last week, guys, because some of you would have noticed that I pre-recorded last week's Friday night live show, right? I put out a live show every Friday night, 7:30. But last week I wasn't around, so I pre-recorded one and I put it up. And I don't really like doing that because honestly, I prefer doing the live thing so we can have the live chat going and it's a bit transactional and you guys get involved and give me suggestions and I bounce off it. It feels a bit more, erratic and I can't think of the right word, but it's more fun doing it that way. But when I take the family away, obviously needs must, you've got to have a little break every now and then. I like to put out something the usual time, like a premiere on YouTube. So, where was I? Where did I leave to go to? Why did I leave you with a pre-recorded fob-off YouTube video at 7:30 on Friday? I went camping. Guys, that's where I went. I went motorhoming. We paid £800. 800 to rent a motorhome for not even 3 full days. 800 quid. We had to pick it up at 6 p.m. on the Thursday, and then he expected it back on Sunday morning at 10 a.m., right? Not even 3 days. £800. And I know some of you might be a bit confused because, not everyone's au fait with Airbnb and with rentals like this that you get off the internet, like the terms and conditions. What do you get for that daily rental fee? What sits outside of the terms and conditions? So let me just clarify for you. I can confirm right now that for £800, you do not get a blowjob thrown in, which was actually very surprising for me, because I would have thought for £800 I would expect a blowjob to be thrown in for 8 tons. So anyway, what happened? So we go to pick up this thing, right? And we've got 2 tired, ratty kids by this point, because 6 p.m. pickup, right? And they're still young. And all of our friends are already in this campsite, right? They've been there since 3 p.m. So we are the late ones. We're already late by this point. And the guy, as I'm picking it up, I get the keys, and he's like, have you ever driven a motorhome before? And I'm like, no, but I did have a camper van in Australia like 20 years ago, so I think I'll be all right. He's like, have you ever driven an automatic before? I'm like, no, but it's supposed to be easier, right, than a manual transmission, so it's probably be okay, I would have thought. Like, not even I think that I'm gonna be okay in this fucking motorhome, in the sheets of rain that are blasting down. By the way, the weather is atrocious last Friday night. Just blasting down rain. There's gale force winds. And this is his pride and joy, this guy that's renting his motorhome to me. This is his £70,000 motorhome. We looked it up. 70 grand for one of these things. And I'm renting it, and neither one of us have any confidence that I am fit to drive it. It's just none. Have you ever driven an automatic motorhome, £70,000? No, never. But I'll get the hang of it. Right, okay, here's the keys. So we sort out the deposit, and because he wants his £800, and I need I need to put myself in this perilous position, basically, of this car that I am unfit to drive. I need to do that because by this point my kids are grumpy and playing up, and my girlfriend just wants to get down there and settled. And this is the thing that wilds me out about this sort of situation. It's like my girlfriend will badger me, something chronic, right, for being foolhardy and impatient, right, and just barging into things without prep and due care. Like, why do you just have to barge into things? Why? You're so impatient. You're the most impatient person I've ever met. There's a lot of that, right? I love her dearly, and I hope that she loves me, but sometimes there's some of that. Barging into things without due care and preparation aid. But honestly, I think if I had stood back at that point. Have you ever driven a motorhome before? No. Have you ever driven an automatic? No. Have you seen the weather forecast? Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Are you feeling confident? I think if I had stood back at that point and said, do you know what? I've reconsidered this, love, and I don't think I am a fit and proper person to be driving this particular vehicle in these conditions. I honestly think it might have broken us. It might have. She'd be like, are you joking? Could you just strap on a pair? Then it would be a plus sign. Then it would be like, but why can't you just barge straight in, just take the keys, give it a go, no prep. I reckon if I had said, on second thoughts, on reflection, I think this is an unwise idea for me to be, I think that would have ended our relationship. I think that could have caused problems for us. Anyway, so I take the keys. And I'm gradually getting used to the automatic, which by getting used to the automatic, actually what I mean is I've awkwardly stopped and stalled this fucking thing, like right in the middle lane of a roundabout. Of a busy middle, and it's 6 o'clock, it's like rush hour, and I'm just like, I don't know why it's not working, it won't start. Like, I'm just panicking and fretting. I'm getting used to it. Is what I'm doing. Like, I'm basically learning to drive again in real time. Except this time I'm not 17. I'm not excited about learning to drive. I'm 43 years old and trembling, and I've got 2 tired, ratty kids in the back. You know, and then add on the male fragility layers to this of being sat next to my girlfriend, you know, and wondering if I'm going to get criticised for my bad driving, you know, when you're sat next to your wife or your girlfriend and you just feel self-conscious. You should be able to drive. You're the man and all that. And then add to that the fear that, you know, wondering if maybe, am I going to get us down there in one piece? This is a 2-hour drive. Am I going to get us down there in one piece? Or is this family holiday actually going to be my girlfriend trying to make A&E a bit fun and silly? Because that's where the kids are going to spend a week. So anyway, we're driving down there. There's sheets of rain. There's winds just blasting. And we are in this beige as fuck camper van motorhome thing rattling down the M25 to Sussex. Like if you pan out seeing us on this thing, on this motorway with the sheets of rain and the storms and everything, you know? If you panned out and looked at us rattling down the motorway in this beige camper van with the stormy rain and the gas, we must have looked like Scooby-Doo or some shit. Complete with me looking terrified up the front at the wheel, just shuddering along in this thing, trembling like I don't know how to drive. Driving like somebody's terrified grandma doing just over 30 in the slow lane. You know, when you drive past somebody's old grey, oh no, I shouldn't be driving. Just hand over the keys, mum. You already have the bus pass. So, we get down there. We pull up. We're relieved. We've made it. It's time to, you know, what do you do when you pull up at the campsite with your friends and stuff? It's time to pull up some deck chairs, right? Decking chair, or like camping chairs. That's the word that I'm looking for. Pull up your camping chairs, crack open a tinny or a, you know, get a cup of tea or, you know, whatever it is that you do. Just sit there and get to know each other and catch up and talk about all the things from the last year since the last time that you all saw each other and did this. We're there. We're relieved. We're ready to get settled and catch up. But that's when my girlfriend realizes that she has forgotten the most important bag, okay? The most important bag that she had to pack. It's this black rucksack thing, and it's apparently got medication, it's got makeup, it's got her pants for the week. It's got everything in there. Everything. It's like a TARDIS. How did you fit so much shit in that tiny little black rucksack? I don't understand the physics of this. You've got everything in there, and understandably, right, she's quite upset about this. And I'm just doing that thing that, you know, boyfriends and husbands do, where we're like, oh, here we go. Let's start the cat. Like I've got a little imaginary chess clock next to me and just tap that. Start the countdown to when this definitely becomes my fault. This is guaranteed. Somehow this is, it's not my bag. I didn't pack it, but somehow this is going to end up being my fault. Like, I don't want to sound, you know, chauvinistic or misogynist or unsympathetic or callous. I understand the frustration. It's upsetting. It's embarrassing to have forgotten your things. I get that. It's annoying to have messed up, to have left the house without your most vital possessions for the next couple of days, right? I understand that. But how or why this is down to me is a magic trick. I just don't understand it. It just won't make sense to me. I've tried. It doesn't compute. Like, I love my girlfriend. I truly do. To the ends of the earth. Fantastic mother, great girlfriend, inspiring. You know, she's changed me. I'm not even fucking about. She's changed me in immeasurable ways, for which I will forever be grateful to her for. But her ability to move the blame like it's some fucking slow-mo martial arts movie shit is just incredible. It's a slow precision operation, professionally executed. But my girlfriend should be a crooked detective in a low-budget, mid-90s cop thriller, you know? Trying to frame gang murders on a liquored-up homeless guy, like, oh, just confess it already, all right? You drank the whiskey and you pushed Mr. Brown into the road. That's what happened. Just sign the confession already. You know, and the liquored-up homeless guy's like, oh, maybe I did. I can't remember. Maybe I done killed Mr. Brown. And the detective's like, all right, that's the spirit, son. Get the paperwork, book 'em. That's my girlfriend. She can apply pressure and outsource and channel her guilt until it gets to the point where I'm just like, oh, maybe I did pack the bag. Maybe I forgot the bag. Or maybe I did do the terrible thing. I mean, fuck Isabel Oakeshott, right? My girlfriend should be a ghostwriter for shit celebrities, because she'd get a guilty confession out of anyone. I promise you. So, what happened next? She's lost the bag. There's no makeup. There's no meds. I'm there doing the guy thing. I'm throwing solutions to problems, guys. Like, that's what she wants to hear. She doesn't want to hear that at all. No woman in that situation wants you to offer her solutions. They just want you to shut your mouth. Just close your noise hole, Aid. And just listen to your blame. and then after that, we can arrive at the pre-prepared solution, right? Which is to drive all the way home again that same night in the gale force winds and the sheets of rain and knackered kids in this vehicle that you're not fit to drive. This is the plan. You're going to drive all the way home, another 2.5 hours to get back home to pick up the bag that you said that you had packed, Aid. And you're like, did I? Did I say that I brought the bag, really? That I didn't even know existed until we had this argument? Like, why would I say that I've packed everything? Why would I say that? I don't know what you've packed, what you didn't pack. Oh, well, that's definitely what you said, Aid. You absolutely said that as we were leaving the house. And then you're like, well, sorry if you heard me say that, because I actually did not say that. So now we actually have two problems, don't we? You hearing voices and the missing bag of makeup and pants and medication for the weekend. I'm like, is that what the medication in the bag was for? Like, if you don't take 2 a day, you start hearing people you know saying they've collected bags that they actually, in reality, they never knew that existed. Did the pills let me time travel forward in time, maybe? Are they that clever? They let me see which weird and wonderful rucksacks and flight bags and shoulder bags you've taken, and then I come back to the present to do a stock take of the boot to check that I've packed it. Is that how they work? Is that why they're so essential? Because I can see how they might be handy right about now in situations like this. I didn't say any of that, obviously. But yeah, your role in that thing as a guy is to just sit there and listen to the pre-arrived at solution. Just close your mouth. And the pre-arrived solution in this instance was to drive 2 hours home in the wind and rain to pick up this stupid fucking bag. Which we didn't do. It didn't happen, which is something, I think. You know, she didn't really like lay down the law, stamp her feet, throw a tantrum, and insist that we go back, which is something, you know, we got to recognize that. That's good. There is some reason there. thankfully. I reckon there's a lot of other halves out there who would have. I think there's a lot of angry girlfriends and wives who would have quite happily looked huffy and demanding. You know, they would rather look huffy and demanding than look aesthetically less confident through the lack of makeup that they've lost in the bag. You know, like I can handle looking a bit assertive and bossy and a bit of a bitch as long as I've got the right foundation. I'm fine. As long as I can layer on the Anyway. So yeah, she was all right about it. Once the initial panic wore off, she was okay. You know, like we're lying there, both of us. We put the kids to bed. We're both laying there. She's pissed off. I'm pissed off because of the kids, the rain, the automatics, the stalling at the roundabout thing, the fact we're late, the blame that I got for the bag, and now the torment of knowing that she really wants to go home. And I feel like I'm being unreasonable. Like, that is just... I don't know why you need to feel that guilt there. The outsourcing of the guilt. I'm like laying there going... Am I being a dick here? I don't feel like I'm being a dick, right? But like you'd go through the things again in your head and you're like, no. Logically, I'm not being a dick here. But why do I feel like I'm being a dick? And anyway, then just as we're winding down, just as we're sort of, you know, the apprehensive anxiety chest and the anger from the drive, just as it's all starting to peter out, but I'm still acutely aware that actually she does really want to drive home. She says this. She breaks the silence and she comes out with this. She says, by the way, I don't think I locked the front door. And I'm like, God. Oh my God. Like, do you ever get to the point where someone just puts the final layer to the stressy layer cake down, just a cherry on the top, and you just shut down? You just go, I don't care. I just... Like, someone could have literally walked into our house, apparently, judging on the information I had at that moment. Someone could have literally walked into our house, stolen the TV, our bed, the podcast studio, all of my equipment in here. They could have taken the kids' shoes, school clothes, the cooker. And I would have been totally zen. I still would have been like, I don't care anymore. I just, you know, I hope they fucking take your black rucksack too. Like, I hope they take it all. Like, I was so pissed off, so pettily pissed off. Like a proper petty, annoyed husband type of vibe, you know? And looking back on it now, you know, it seems ridiculous. It seems absolutely loony to get that worked up about all this stuff. I should have just said, look, it's fine. We'll drive back in the morning if you want to. Let's sleep on it. But if it bothers you that much... You know, we can go all the way back if you really need to, or we can just go to Tesco. It's fine. But I was so wound up, guys. I promise we'll get onto some politics in a minute. I was like tossing and turning and just, you know, going over and over in my brain again and again, worrying that I was being unreasonable, but going around in circles. I don't know. It's not me. It's not my fault. And then, like, on top of this, like, after that one line, I'm like, and I know that the only reason that you're saying the thing about the front door is to get me to go, oh, well, I guess if the front door's open, I guess we better drive home again. So then I'm back to, like, anxiety and, like, apprehensive chest just thumping. I can't sleep. I'm so wound up, tossing it. Because I'm thinking back to the conversation that we had as we were leaving, pulling out of the driveway. I'm like... I remember, like, being in the front seat going, like, did you lock the front door? Yes, I did. So I'm like, either she said she locked it when she hadn't in the car, or she did lock it and now she's trying to use it, like, and saying that she hasn't locked it or she's not sure if she's locked it to badger me into driving back again. So how is any of this me being unreasonable? Oh, my God. I didn't sleep a wink. I did not sleep a wink. I was so wound up. And anyway, guys, long story short, it was fine. It was totally fine. We went to Tesco in the morning. We grabbed a few of the essentials. Everything was cool. We saw some friends. I had my first sober camping trip with them, which was weird. I don't know how many of you guys out there, listeners, viewers, Patreons, community members, I don't know how many of you have, fully dried out, as it were. Or how many of you are still getting hammered. But honestly, I felt like I was so boring this weekend, when you've always socialized drunk, right? And so then you associate social you, socially good you, with also kind of sort of hammered you, right? And then you go sober, and you're not even really sure who you are when you're there, when you're socializing, when you're trying to make chit chat or have fun or crack jokes. Like, who even am I? How do I do this? This weekend, I was trying to catch up with people and make conversation. And I think it went okay. I think I was reasonably good company, maybe, but I was so worried that I was hyper conscious of what I was saying and if it was boring or entertaining. And I just had this niggling feeling that everything that was coming out of my mouth was just beige as fuck, barely passable as supporting character dialogue if it was in a movie. Just non-versation, just filler for people, bit part characters as they maneuvered around the main protagonist, is how I felt, right? After 5 or 6 times, talking to different people, 5 or 6 sentences offered up in different conversations or whatever, and the same feeling that you're not being particularly entertaining or interesting. After a while, you seriously, you start to worry if you're suffering from borettes. It's just uncontrollable, boring statements flying out of my mouth. Oh, don't worry him. Yeah, he's just incessantly, untreatably boring ever since he gave up booze. Wow, this is all very self-pitying and psychotherapy-like aid, isn't it? Should we get on to some politics? Should we actually try to shoehorn in some politics in this episode, shall we? So, here is a story that somebody called Pedro Jones, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. What's up, Pedro? Somebody called Pedro Jones tagged me in the other day. It's from The Guardian. It's about a minority that need protection. They need our help, guys. So it's pretty serious, and on that basis, I suppose you can understand why The Guardian particularly have stepped in to raise awareness. It's very much in their wheelhouse to speak up for those who have yet to find their voice. So let's check it out, guys. It says, pro fox hunting group says UK hunters should be a protected ethnic minority. Yeah. Fox hunters should be a protected ethnic minority. They need protection, guys, from all the abuse and oppression that they receive. Not the foxes, you understand, who are literally, physically hunted to death. Forget protective measures for them. It's the hunters, people. We should look into giving them some sort of protected status. The hunters, the fox hunters need protection. How do these people keep a straight face? That's what I want to know. How do you keep a straight... How do you seriously come in off a fox hunt with 3 shells missing from your rifle? You sling a dead fox corpse in the fire, and your wife goes, was it a good turnout, love? And you go, yeah, it's all right. I'm just so fed up of being attacked, though. I really am. Bloodstains all up and down you. I'm just so tired of it. I feel so oppressed, sweetheart. Can't tell you, with my award-winning horses, my stables out back, my country pile, my high society friendship circle, who literally probably write laws in my favour. Oh, do I feel oppressed? I might have to look into getting myself some sort of protected status, Anyway, it says, Chair of Hunting Kind, apparently that's some sort of lobby group, Chair of Hunting Kind says he has built a legal case to obtain the same protection as Roma and LGBTQ plus people. Right. Should we read on? Should we get into... Let's jump into it, shall we? Here we go. A pro-fox hunting group says it has prepared a legal case to try to prove that hunters are an ethnic minority whose hunts should be protected under equality laws. I see. That's the swindle. Is it? Ed Swales, it says, chair of Hunting Kind, claims that he has been advised by a leading human rights lawyer that hunters unequivocally qualify for legal protection under the UK Equality Act 2010. Wow. Speaking to the Field Sports Channel podcast, Swales said, the qualifications of an ethnic group, there are 5 of them, and we hit every one of them straight in the bullseye, it says. Straight in the bullseye. Wow. It's interesting that he went for a darts metaphor there, isn't it? I mean, rather than, there's 5 things that you need to qualify as an ethnic group, and we've attacked every single one of them like they are 5 individually terrified foxes that we are mauling into a thready mess, one by one, for no other reason than our psychopathic bloodlust. But no, darts is a more civil metaphor, clearly. More civil, Ed Swales. Go with darts, lads, when you need a metaphor. It's more relatable to the masses. I mean, look, should we just park for a second the ridiculousness of this? The obvious ridiculousness of a bunch of Tories on horses with their red coats and salivating hounds chasing these foxes. Just park the lunacy of these guys using the Equality Act, which is, I don't know if you're aware, is the same piece of legislation that people like that usually rail against, isn't it? Any other week of the year. Can we just focus instead on the nuts and bolts of what Ed Swales is claiming here, right? He is suggesting that fox hunting and fox hunters should be able to crack on with their psychopathic hobby, their Dharma-like pastime of murdering animals for fun, because it is a cultural ceremony? Is that what we're saying here, Ed? Is that it's who they are, guys. They are English. They are rural. They are a people. And part of their way of life is to jump on these horses here and kill these foxes. It's part of who they are. It's cultural, Aid. You have to respect their culture. And he's drawing a parallel, isn't he, with Roma travellers and lesbian, gay, trans, queer, the protections that these guys receive for their ways of life, their ceremonies, their cultures, etc., etc. He is drawing a parallel with that, with gay people and the traveller community. He's like, if we could give the protection to the traveller community, then we could do the same with us, couldn't we? We're basically the same. Because, yes, they're often oppressed and they're left out and they're mocked and ridiculed and moved on from various parks. They're told they're not welcome. They have very, very little margin for political power or influence to change their situation or achieve representation at the parliamentary level. But we're basically... us and them, we're basically the same, guys. And meanwhile, with anyone that's got an IQ above 20 is like, nope. No, it's not the same. You're being ridiculous, Ed. You're being utterly ridiculous. It defies belief. Like the delusion that they could use something like this for that, I mean, I know they're sociopaths, right? I know they're all sociopaths, but don't any of them have any fucking friends? you know, that could just pull them to the side. Like even a fake friend, you know, a sociopathic fake friend, someone who superficially pretends to be their friend, who masks, but maybe the pretense could include pulling them aside. I'm being like, you know, listen, Barnaby Quaffington Smythe, whatever your fucking name is. Barnaby. The Equality Act is there to protect people from discrimination based on certain characteristics. That's how it works. That's the whole vibe of it, right? You know, so sex, gender, race, religion. If you're a woman, then like if you're pregnant, if you're gay, if you have mobility issues. Yes, I'm following you, but what's wrong? Well, it's primarily there to stop people from being exploited or abused by power. Right, I know all of this. Why are you telling me all of this? Well, you're trying to use it to get your fucking hunts going again. Well, yeah, because it's part of our culture. Right, but who's abusing you? Who is exploiting you? Absolutely nobody. Who's oppressing you, even? Governments are. Governments are oppressing us. You know, they're making it illegal to go fox hunting. It's part of our culture. It's a cultural practice they're denying from us. Oh, Barnaby Quaffington Smythe, you are being a dick. No, I'm not. Like, why is it never people like that who lay awake at night, tossing and turning, worrying whether they've been a dick or not? How come these motherfuckers are always just like, nope, I'm definitely 100% not being a penis here. I can just tell. They're like, no, I'm definitely not being a dick. Like, can't his friend pull him aside and go, yes, you are. The legislation isn't designed for this. The legislation is designed to protect ethnic and religious identities, people who come here. And they maybe sit outside of the status quo indigenous masses. So, pregnant women? Check. Muslim man? Check. Roma traveller? Yes, also. But no, red-cheeked, middle-aged, white Tory man who's probably got friends in the House of Lords and a country manor with a family crest and bathes nightly in the tears of his house staff. It's just difficult to see what you need protecting from, Barnaby. Ah, what a load of bollocks. It's difficult to see you, bloodstained, holding a fox's head. It's difficult to see you as vulnerable. But it's a cultural practice. That's what I keep telling you. Just like Muslim prayer time. These are the same things. You wouldn't mock a Muslim for taking their prayer time, would you? I bet. Well, I might if they slaughtered a load of foxes while doing it. It would seem unnecessary. You wouldn't mock Roma gypsies for getting drunk and angry at everybody, would you? Oh my God. What? It's their cultural right, is what I'm saying. I'm standing up for them. All right, let's just leave the obvious racism and bigoted ignorance to the side there for a second, shall we? And let's just be mindful of the fact that I actually just recently tried driving a motorhome caravan type thing just recently, and it was actually incredibly stressful. So, frankly, if they need a few brandies after that to manage the stress, I'm actually okay with that. Like, it's the lack of shame that always gets me, you know? The total absence of self-consciousness, right? To not understand how weird and toffee and detached and cruel this shit makes you come off. Like, who's rooting for the foxes, you know? You're not the underdog in this situation. To feel oppressed, like you need the Equality Act to back you up. You're not the underdog. You literally have hunter dogs, not underdogs. It's the total opposite. You've got millionaire white guys, not impoverished people of colour. Total opposite. And yet still, somehow, playing the victim. Where is the shame, guys? Can we bring back shame for 2025? Like, how can it not occur to them how psychopathic this looks when they bother to lobby for their right to kill animals like this? Like, you know, it's a staple of psychopaths to kill animals, don't you? You understand how weird it is that this is such an area of interest to you? That you're like, I should be able to murder these things whenever I want. I like to do it. I should be able to kill them because I like it. Like, fuck it, mate. Maybe we should just let them. Like, is it possible that if we let a few more Tories satisfy their urges with animals, that they might not escalate so readily to killing people with austerity? Is it possible if we just let them do this, we'll have 10,000 more surviving disabled people? Like, just imagine if Ian Duncan Smith had just been given one kitten a day to drown, guys. Like, I'm not saying it's a perfect solution to austerity. I'm not saying there's no downsides to it. Obviously, it's, you know, quite sad for whoever owns or loves kittens. I'm just saying that politics is about choices and negotiation. And maybe, guys, Ian Duncan Smith and George Osborne killing, 52 kittens a year or something, maybe the cost benefit of that is that we would have saved 10,000 disabled people. I'm just thinking out loud here, guys, okay? Just spitballing. Like, you know what I'd like to do when it comes to people like this? You know what I'd love to meet them on this challenge, you know? Like, I'd let them categorize themselves as this ethnic minority. Just let them go ahead and do it. Let them use the Equality Act 2010 to protect their ceremonies, their cultural identity. Have it classified as a protected ethnic minority and so on, right? But in so doing, let it serve as a precedent, right? So that then in, 6 months' time? In 6 months' time, just as they're about to set off on their first hunt for 10 years, because it's been banned for 10 years now. I know, right? Time flies. Just as they're about to get off on their first fox hunt for a decade, you know, they strap on those helmets, get the hounds out the front, rah, 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 and they climb on their horses. I walk in with my farmer's gun and shoot all of the horses and dogs like I'm King Petty, guys. Just spray them all dead till they keel over and die. Horses and hounds slumped on the floor. And then each one of these plum garglers can just sob in despair as they realise that, yes, I've actually used their own lobbying as a precedent to support my own animal murder practices in becoming my own protected ethnic identity and cultural practice. I'm going to be like, what? I'll be like, yes, I am a binfluencer. That's what I am. I practice the religion of people of the booge, is what I do. It's recognised now. We are protected. Our ceremonies may include drinking craft ale, talking shit on a podcast, meeting up in Brick Lane, and yes, occasionally sacrificing horses and hounds to the great weeping deity in the sky. That is my religion, Barnaby. It's protected. I'm sorry you got caught up in this. You know, this is my religion. I'm a binfluencer. What I need you to do now is if you could just turn this way, Barnaby, and he'd be like, well, why am I turning this way, 90 degrees? What, facing this angle, facing this direction? Is this in direction, like in recognition of your Mecca or something? I'm gonna be like, no, I just don't want to see your face. So I'm just turning you that way. Now, everyone else, get your seats and put £5 in the collection basket marked Patreon. That's the next thing you could do in my Binfluencer protected ethnic identity religious ceremony. And if you could all just make your way up to this altar here where you might drink this wine, nay craft ale, from whence I share my joy unto the world, and say after me, ladies and gents, people of my congregation, praise be, Booge, to thee. And you over there in the 5th row, whispering and nattering, muttering while I'm trying to give this sermon. You make your way to the confession box, where my girlfriend will convince you you have done a terrible thing, and she might hear your confession and absolve you of your guilt. Don't laugh, do not mock, and do not try and stifle our ceremonies and traditions. This is our cultural identity. We are the people of the Booge, and we are protected. Thanks so much to the Fox Hunters for gifting us that precedent. This is our cultural identity. We are people of the Booge, and I will physically beat your horses to death with this crowbar because I'm tired of being attacked. Guys, that's it. Seems as good a note to leave you on as any. If you would like to join the Patreon, the People of the Booge, the cult, come to the in-person meetups if you'd like to be named and shamed, the end of shows like this one. Here's all of the Patreons. Look at them. Look at these beautiful bastards, these supporters, these cult members, these boogsters, these binfluencers. If you would also like access to the Discord chat, if you'd like episodes of the podcast 2 days before everybody else, then do jump onto the Patreon or YouTube's community thing. There are links to both in the description below. I will be back on Friday night for the Friday night live show. That's 7:30 every Friday on YouTube, which is sort of like this, but with the live chat as well, so we can all, interact with one another. But yeah, that's it for this one. I'll see you all tomorrow on the Alternative Paper Review, and until next time, keep it Booge, keep it Binfluencer, and we are out this motherfucker.
Nuclear war and climate change keep raging. The oil's running out, disease keeps changing.